Damn.
All right, so let me pull the questions up. If you want to add a question, !Q add, and then type your question. That gets it to us in a way where we won't lose it in chat, like some other streams might do. Developer stream. All right, let's start. What if they reworked Dougie altogether? If you were the lead of this Dougie change, what would you do to make it more viable? Wow, that's like a legit question. Thanks, Scorps.
That was a good question.
Yeah, I like that question. I saw it earlier too. If I were to take Dougie, damn, I'm gonna pass. I don't have an answer to that right now.
I mean, I honestly think the design of Dougie is fine.
I do too. Yeah.
I honestly think that all he needs better scaling so that he actually does a relevant amount of damage for the new kids, like you said. And if they could fix those two things, I think the design of Dougie is fine. I mean, I think you need to have that. Dougie is the quintessential glass cannon play. Like, he's the Hail Mary play.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get him off and you can protect him, or if you can just catch your opponent off guard and without enough energy to respond, he does exactly what he's supposed to do. He's that Hail Mary, heavy hitting glass cannon play, and that's fine. And I think that's a perfectly good design. It's just right now he doesn't perform that role very well because
only Barrel Dougie performs that role well, in my opinion.
Yeah. When I think of Dougie, I think of Mysterion and Butters fighting in the Coon episode,
and Bruce Valanche.
And Bruce Valanche, where Dougie just randomly comes and like strikes from behind, like just randomly attacks Mysterion when he's not looking, and that's kind of how I think they implemented the card, in that he is a headhunter and he's a direct bolt to the new kid and attack him. And I think they did it. Like I can't think of a better representation for it personally.
I think really Barrel Dougie and Dwarf Engineer Dougie are the two best designed Dougies. I think the mystical.
I love Prophet.
I'm not a big fan of. I don't think Prophet's ability is impactful enough, and he doesn't really do enough damage.
You don't know what the hell that is, Prophet Dougie.
I've lost because my energy stopped for that moment, and I couldn't get the
stopping energy for a second is huge, man. That's like one energy, dude. That's a lot.
But you do have to get him to hit it too. So I agree that other ones would be better. Like maybe.
Yes. Barrel is obviously the number one.
Yeah, I think if I would, I agree with you guys. I like the headhunter kind of glass cannon. I like it. And yeah, I would just adjust some of the other powers a bit, just make them a little bit stronger. To kind of make it so that the other ones do chip or do chunk as much as Barrel does.
Yeah,
because that is the design. It's not unless you play Prophet and it's a war cry that the new kid gets less energy or something, but it'd be hard to implement.
I feel like he has to be an assassin no matter what.
See, I think that would be a pretty interesting design for Prophet Dougie. You play him, he has a war cry effect that like gives like a 1 or 1.5 second energy freeze, and then he charges, but then he does like a decent amount of damage up front. So like that could be interesting, because then you could use them like if you can time it right and you can keep up and kind of figure out how much energy your opponent has, then you can play it when they're out of energy and they can't respond to it. You could play it, let him charge up, and maybe he's able to get a hit in before your opponent has time to regenerate enough energy to respond to it.
Yeah.
Like that could be
It'd be really cool to be able to use like when that they're at 0 energy, and to be able to stop that energy and stop the assassin from coming out to counter.
Yeah. And same thing with Power Fist Dougie. You could kind of do the same thing and make his like a war cry freeze instead of a freeze on hit.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be.
I agree. That'd be cool. Again, the problem would be Barrel Dougie, because I'd be really perturbed about a Barrel Dougie being able to war cry his damage off.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have to change. I don't think you'd necessarily have to change Barrel Dougie or Dwarf Engineer Dougie. Both of those kind of fulfill the role that they're meant to fill. I mean, Dwarf Engineer Dougie, he doesn't hit as hard Barrel Dougie on that initial hit, but it seems like Dwarf Engineer Dougie gets a second hit
Way
almost
faster.
immediately after his first hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it's way fast. If like I've almost like if somebody runs Dwarf Engineer with Drow Elves, like they guarantee get 2 hits from Dwarf Engineer Dougie before Drow Elves shield runs out.
Well,
Whereas
the
Barrel
thing with Barrel Dougie is he actually does get that extra hit in. It's just it is you don't notice it because of the big chunk of damage that comes off his ability.
Yeah, because the first chunk actually comes in 2 parts.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't do it all at once. It comes like the extra damage comes and then the rest comes. It's kind of weird.
Oh,
Kind of like Dwarfkin Clyde, who will hit for the amount of the war cry and for the amount of one initial auto attack.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so we got this one's specifically to SDNW, I guess, but I don't know why. Do you see sci-fi too powerful, and what would you do to adjust? If it's OP, why?
Sci-fi is OP. There are a couple reasons why I think it's powerful. First off is sci-fi is the only theme, in my opinion, that can really take advantage of other people's cards. So as a high-ranked player with level 4 Stand of Many Moons, say, I'll use him, and someone who is like sub 1000 can properly mind control him every time he comes out, or properly mind control my cards, or use Mecha Timmy to stop a Pope or to stop whatever strategy. You can straight up counter someone that is that far ahead. And I mean that's cool. I like the concept and everything, but it is really, really overpowered in that aspect. However, I feel like if I was playing someone the same like level deck as me, it wouldn't be nearly as strong. But the other reason why I think that sci-fi is strong is because they now currently have the strongest slow push, where Mystic, the whole like old school Mystic fantasy play was just slow push and try to build an army, build a wall of death and end up rolling over your enemies and hopefully being able to get like a regen off that you keep that kind of power going. Whereas now sci-fi not only has that mind control ability to stop whatever the enemy's doing, but they also have the best slow push in Osimo and Mecha Timmy, and then they have Bounty Hunter Kyle on top of it.
Six Element Randy is a really slow moving
and Six Element Randy is really super strong in the slow push as well. And then say you're running like fantasy, like they're like people don't talk a lot about sci-fi fantasy, but
it's a good combination.
Really strong right now with with Bounty Hunter Kyle and Cox and Osimo and Mecha Timmy all combined. It's really hardcore overpowered. And if I had those cards at the level that I have, like my Mystic cards, had I been investing in these cards for this amount of time, I have no doubt that I would be able to be higher ranked than I am right now if I was specifically focusing on those cards. They're really, really strong.
Yeah.
That combination is absurd to deal with.
Yep. That's one of the decks that I run, and it's a lot of fun and it's really effective.
Easily, I think if you've watched my stream the last couple weeks, easily Osimo is my least favorite card to go against right now. Because
his freeze time is
4 fucking
forever,
seconds.
dude.
Are you kidding me? That's so goddamn long, and it's AoE around
absurd.
him. Fuck you,
it's
dude.
Huge.
Fuck that.
Dude,
it's the worst.
It's absurd how good that is.
It's so bad. So it's like, and the only real thing is to unholy combustion him, and then you just put fucking mecha behind it. And it's like, oh, what are you gonna do to that card?
Or you play Pope Timmy and just Pope him right back.
Yeah, exactly.
I had that happen earlier too.
You do that, it's just like, well, fuck me.
And I mean,
like,
I'm
done.
Pope Timmy's just as slow moving as Osimo.
Yep. And Pope hits hard as fuck, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree.
You combine Osimo's freeze with program stands freeze, and I've even seen people playing freeze ray. You can lock your opponent's like entire board out for like a good 10 seconds.
Yep.
You can do more. You can do more than 10 seconds with that combo. It's ridiculous.
And then it's just little things like BHK BHK level 4 surviving Aerostorm. Just little things like that make it so fucking strong.
Well, BHK on top of the slow push is so absolutely absurd. Like how long he lasts, because not only is he flying, but he continuously adds it. Where Ninju not only costs 1 more energy, I understand he gives a huge buff to everyone's attack, but he doesn't do people who come out after him. Like BHK can just sit there and sit behind that Awesome, and every card they play is now getting more buffed every second that goes by.
And sometimes all it takes to win a push is 1 card having 6 more attack, because you win the duel.
Yep, exactly,
or you win
exactly.
or your Medusa can now kill the Cox in 1 shot, or whatever it might be. That tiny little bit on everybody can be huge, especially on a tank. You get 10-20 extra attack on a tank.
Yep. Bounty Hunter Kyle is by far, in my opinion, the most over card. Since he came out,
really
I've been saying that he is the most over card in the game.
Yeah,
and while it may seem like he does only a tiny amount of increase in attack and stuff like that, like you were saying, that little bit is enough to sway. One hit from him is enough to sway the entire match.
Yep.
And the heal can keep 1 person alive through 1 hit, which then wins the push.
I always forget he even has a heal, because
it happens pretty rarely, but
the damage on its own, from buffing things is strong enough in its own right. It's absolutely insane how good that card is for 3 cost. He needs to be a 4 cost card.
He's really he's a must answer card, but the problem is that you're also running, usually in that deck you're running like Medusa Bebe and Mecha Timmy and 6 Element Randy and Witch Doctor Token, and those are all really 4 big need to answer cards. So then by the time you drop that BHK, your opponent usually doesn't have the lightning bolt or the unholy combustion or whatever to stop him.
Yeah. Eventually you run out of things that you can stop. And even with my full mystic deck, I've got Hercules, Clyde, Power Bind, and Unholy Combustion. It's only 3 of those guys.
And back to what you were saying, I think the best answer to those mystical decks is the sci-fi fantasy deck that's running level 4 cock magic, because then you can you can kind of bait your opponent into playing out a lot of their big fat legendaries, hit them with cock magic, and then you can just start to run over them.
Yep. Get
it's
that
a really good counter deck to mystical.
What you have to do is get that first bar, wait for them to get their sexy or not their sexy, their 6 Element Randy, their Awesome, their BHK, and their Mecha Timmy out, which is the God mode play. Then you cock magic that, you take 1 bar, and then from there on you stall. You don't play for bars, you just play the stall.
Yep.
And that is a hardcore pain in the ass to deal with, especially because you're running cock magic, so you're going to run cocks already on top of it, and cocks are just ungodly good for stalling. It's really strong.
I've actually been seeing a couple of people playing decks that kind of rely on a cheap quick bar, either with Dougies or Assassins and freeze ray, and then all they play after that is just removal. It's just they're playing 5 or 6 different removal spells, and they just sneak in that quick bar.
It's always sci fantasy. That combo, because they can do cock magic and AQR.
Yep.
Fucking AQR.
Yep.
Level 6 AQR is good. I'm actually working on level 6 AQR.
Especially for that slow push.
Once you get her up to level 6, because nobody's running Purify right now. And if you're not running Purify, level 6 AQR, even against level 3 legendaries, it's enough to wear them down. Even through Hallelujah. I can kind of survive a level 5 AQR, and level 5 AQR will still take you down, but you can kind of survive a level 5 AQR. But level 6 is still really, really good, and she has decent stats for being.
Yeah, I will say all the top 25. After me running
cut out. Say?
Oh, sorry. I always joke that all the top 25s now, they're all running Purify, because I run Power Bind in my Power Bind deck, but I'm not kidding. all the Mystic players, I think, in the top 25 run Purify except for me. So
Yeah, I think that's probably the right play too. I mean, Purify is starting to look better and better just because um, even Mind Control Kenny, Mind Control by itself, Mind Control Kenny, because when you're running that deck, you're running so many cards that have really good charge abilities that Mind Control can be really abusive. So having a Purify to get rid of the Mind Control abilities, I think is great. And then it also works to get rid of AQR, which at level 6, she can be really, really like her at level 6 against my deck, because I don't run Purify, against a competent opponent, like I really don't have a way to win that game, because no matter what I throw out, they can always cycle into that AQR, and I don't have an answer for it. Hallelujah is not going to keep me alive. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yep.
All right, guys. Next question. Oh man, we kind of talked about a lot of this stuff.
I actually have a phone call. Hold on one second, but you can keep going. I'll be...
Well, will Hanky enter the meta with the incoming buff, and if so, will Powerbind then in turn become a must-play in Mystic decks? I think it already is, to be honest, with all the amount of charges that are out there.
Yeah, I think Powerbind is really good right now. I run Powerbind. When I run my full Mystic deck, I run Hercules Clyde, just so I can do all the extra Powerbinds. Hanky will be used. He'll be utilized at 3, I assume. I don't think I'm going to see many level 2 Hankies, because his ability just really isn't enough to get more than, an extra slightly faster Stand of Many Moons buff. It can be good if your like Stand of Many Moons is like level 4 or something, where it's actually going to wipe cards, but it's kind of iffy. It's very level dependent on how good Hanky will be.
Right.
Yes, Powerbind is strong though, but it's not necessarily strong for the Hanky. It's more strong for dealing with Witch Doctor Token and Stand of Many Moons or Mecha Timmy. So yeah.
I mean, I'm only top 1,000 pretty much in PvP right now in Legendary Arena, and I run into Powerbind used far more than Purify in the top 1,000 gameplay.
Absolutely.
Just like Powerbind's still used primarily by mystical users, because like was mentioned earlier, it's mostly to counter the charged abilities, especially sci-fi and adventure, more than anything, probably more than fantasy.
It's almost literally used to counter Mecha Timmy Stand of That's the almost sole reason to run.
I've seen it against my Amazingly Randy a few times, not very often, but generally against more legendary units versus epic units. But I mean, Powerbind still used. Purify just seems to be kind of one of those. It's like, oh my god, you put that in your deck, like.
Right.
I mean, but especially, I mean, pre-nerf, it was used all the time. But since that nerf months and months and months ago, it's just kind of, it's more situational. And then
like I said, changing meta. I'm not kidding when I say the top 25 Mystic users, or I should say like top 10 Mystic users are running Purify. And that's specifically to stop the Purify on their, or the Powerbinds on their Stand of Many Moons or Mecha Timmies or whatever.
Yeah, Purify is just. Sometimes I would love to have a replay of games where you could see the opponent's deck the whole time, because I wonder how many people I run into that have like Purify or Powerbind that just don't use it because it, the opportunity doesn't present itself. Or you could see like that motherfucker sat on Unholy Combustion the entire fucking game and didn't use it, and then use it. Like that would be so fun, because the other game I mentioned it earlier, but Minion Masters has a full replay where you can watch the game from their perspective, and you can see their deck, and you can see their energy. So then no one would ever fucking claim that someone was energy hacking ever again, because they could go back and watch. And 2, you could really learn from getting stomped by somebody, instead of just being, oh fuck it, he was cheating, or oh something happened. You can look back and you can be like, fuck, he had 10 energy. Like he had 10 energy on me. Like he fucking beat me hardcore.
Yep.
That would be. I think that's possible with server side. Once that happens, it'd be very easy for them to keep track and be able to do recordings. But I don't know if that's in the works.
Times I've been accused of like energy hacking, doing some sort of exploit or something like that. That'd be fantastic. just so
Just
people
watch
can
the
see,
replay, homie. Watch the
look at me,
replay.
look at me 10 game and just playing cards when I have to. Like, I'm not cheating. It's just how it goes, you know.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, if you want to get to that top tier, like was mentioned earlier, it's not just going to be card level is going to rule the day. It's also going to be strategy and how you play the cards. So you're going to get a
Yeah.
better understanding of how the top echelon players are actually playing the cards strategically. Like if they're sitting on 10 energy for a little while to create a mega push to come down your throat, or if they're just waiting for, they're trying to work through a card cycle to get the right setup to where they can just obliterate you, even if it means sacrificing a bar to do that. And sometimes it takes that in the top tier people, and not everybody's recording 24/7
Right.
of every little decision that they make during a game structure. Some people do that. I mean, I don't record everything that I play, so having a replay system to say that maybe you could rewatch the last 10 matches played or something, and you can go back and say, how did this person do that? Plus, I mean, if we really want to report people effectively, we have
Right.
to say
Yeah,
that
for
all the time.
sure.
But that's the best way to do it, is to say, here, Red Links, boom, look at this replay.
Yeah, and they
bam,
could
I've got
go back and
full-on
look at
proof,
it.
rather than just saying, oh, this guy was definitely energy cheating. But the only way I can say that is just by assumption based on how fast they put cards out. And then we'd have a replay system in place, which obviously server side would be the most ideal solution, or the ideal situation where that could happen, to where we could go back, watch the last couple of matches, and then bam, we have full on proof right there in your face, rather than them having to try to go through all your matches, go to that specific incident, and then try to just play it throughout. And then you could make multiple clips proving your point if you
Right.
wanted to. Like,
Yeah, I
had-
could.
It was
I could
so great back in
I
the
could
day.
record my game, like my screen of the replay, and send it to him.
Yeah.
When
exactly.
the energy hacking was back in the day, it was so nice that I like recorded all the matches, because you could send it to them right. Dude is obviously energy hacking. Let's just go and ban him and remove him right away. That'd be fantastic. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would
Plus,
be.
I want to stress for anyone who doesn't do it. Like, if you really seriously want to get good in your gameplay and improve at playing the game, record your matches and go and like rewatch the matches and see what you did, and you will be like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that, and you will get better. That goes for like any game, because I used to do that for Overwatch. Like any game, record that shit and just see what you did wrong. You will improve. It's really, really beneficial.
I
Definitely.
mean, that's why I watch other people's, whether it's through your guys' streaming or like other people's videos, to see like strategies. Like card
Yeah.
placements are so key sometimes,
Yep.
to where you're like, I put this card in a spot that I thought would defend this from happening, this card from hitting my new kid 2 times, and you just wonder, if I would have just moved it, half a centimeter or whatever on screen this direction, I wouldn't have taken that damage that time. But in the moment you think, oh no, I placed this Zen Cartman perfectly to block Hermes Kenny from hitting my new kid twice. And you're like, no, if I would have moved it 1 tile or 1 little degree over, then I would have blocked it. And it's just little,
But it's even
just like little
even
things like
goes
that.
it's even just knowing like the different speeds of the different cards you have, and like where you can play them in relation to each other, so that they run into your opponent's cards in the right order, so that like you're not taking too much damage. Like, one unit's not taking, you're kind of spreading the damage out amongst all your units a little bit better, instead of having one unit take like everything. And like
Right.
there's all these like small little things that you can do that really end up making like a gigantic difference.
Like just
in the outcome.
simply trying to make sure like Terrence and Philip don't attack the same person is like a big thing for challenge mode, because if they're attacking the same person, they're gonna wipe that person before they can handle it. But if they're separated, they're not very good at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You want to make sure they're focusing one person as opposed to 2, for sure. Yep.
As on the offensive. Yeah. Okay, next question.
Moving
Besides
on.
Nagger, who's the best 100% legit free-to-play player?
I don't know anymore. I don't know. Let me look at the ladder.
Is
Let me look at the ladder, and I'm gonna
is
tell you.
anyone actually legit free-to-play?
I'm gonna tell you. Let me look
I
at
bet
the ladder,
everybody's
'cause
put at
I
least
know
$5
a few
in the
people
fucking
who
game.
play that I think are still top 100, and I will see if I can spot them on the list.
All right, well, you do that. No, I'm not gonna play fucking Roblox.
Fuck Roblox.
All right, Grand Wizard Cartman said the commons needed to be nerfed in order for epics and legis to do well. Was this the right move?
Nonsense. Nope, absolutely
No.
not.
I don't think commons should have been touched at all. It would have been awesome.
I don't think anything should have been touched, but I probably shouldn't get into that because I got flamed off of Reddit for saying that.
Yeah, I definitely I agree with the vast majority of people that say the commons should have been left alone.
Yeah.
Like the buffs to legendaries especially should have been done. And Ink and Craig is the next legendary that needs some love, for the love of God. He's so terrible. But I mean,
can't wait.
There's just commons should have just been left alone. Like they're basically only useful now for like their death wishes, or they're just the Beybes, I guess, are still viable. At least Robo and Blood Elf. But other than that, I don't think of like any other commons that are just like, you see a level 7 common, even like level 7 at one point, like level 6, level 7 rats, you were fucking terrified of that. And now you just see that and you just kind of laugh because you know that you can use Aerostorm or anything else and bam, it's dead. Or even because that was always the biggest counter for like dog poo, stuff like that, or just Cyborg Kenny and whatnot. And now you just don't see, I don't see rats hardly used at all anymore, except in maybe challenge mode. I mean, some people still use them, but not anywhere to the extent of where.
But probably only because they don't have a replacement for them.
Yeah, like requesting for rats was like the ultimate way of getting that donation in your clan and whatnot. It's like, it's okay if I dump all my, if I donate like 400 cards a week, I can request rats every day, or every 8 hours, and it's like, and that was like the ultimate thing. But now that's not even it seems to be the way of the world anymore, or you just don't see. Like, I give away my commons now, and back a few months ago I would never have done that. Like, certain commons were just off limits to me, but now I just like, I don't even care because they're not, most of them aren't even playable anymore. So what's the point? That's just free gold and experience.
Exactly. Okay, so to get back on the who is the best free-to-play player besides the Nagger guy, I am going to say that it is still, and this was my opinion back in the day too, it is still Makamanen, or however you pronounce his name.
McKemmenemenen?
Yeah, he is currently number 52 on the ladder. His name is Fabian Taylor on the ladder, which is just like kind of a play on one of the other guys.
He's Fabian Taylor right now?
Yeah.
Shit.
But he is number 52
played him the other day. I was like, what the
with,
fuck?
With the
dude, how is Fabian beating me?
McNaman's really good.
Yeah, so he's number 52 as a free-to-play deck, so that should say a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I can tell Dank Bob Ross is that I know that he's free to play because he's been in my team forever. He's been in the team longer than I have, and it's a well known fact that he's been free to play. Plus, if you played him and seen his card levels, you would understand that he's been free to play like the whole time. So, just a very good player. He's always our like number one like strategist for looking at like new deck concepts and stuff like that in Nebula. So he's very, very good. And unless I am mistaken and someone else on this list ahead of him is free to play, but there is no one that I have any awareness that is actually free to play. So, yeah. Mac I'm going with is the number one free to play player. Besides Nager guy, because we all know he's free to play.
I'm looking through the questions. I think we got two more legit questions and one kind of fun question. Well, I mean, obviously the 5 or 6 requests for SDNW to take off his shirt.
you know, and like I said in the chat, but I don't want to get Glanzer in trouble,
Yeah, dude, nipples are a bannable offense.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I'm thinking one of these times I'm gonna tape my nipples in like a nice like little bondage X. Take my shirt off, be like, "What, Twitch? What?"
Pasties, man.
No
right.
nipples.
So here we actually didn't talk about the beta testing. This question is, what are our thoughts on the beta testing, and like in the scope of like, will it actually lead to the good balance updates and other positive changes, or will it be a bust like all the other stuff they do?
They didn't let me in the beta.
Well, it's hard to tell. Well, one of the things that's disappointing about the beta is the fact that it's only restrictive to iOS right now. So all the Android users can't do it, which they've given reason as to that it's not user friendly for them right now or not. So that's kind of disappointing because I don't know the disparity between people that play on iOS versus people that play on Android, to where we can ultimately gauge that
Right.
it's going to be a success or fail. And I mean, I'm part of the beta testing because I have iOS, but I mean, there's not a ton of us in the Discord so far, so I don't know how
I want to
effective
say
it's going to be.
I want to make a quick note that I'm sure that one of the reasons why it is iOS specific is because of the fear or risk of exploits on Android. Like even back in the energy hack days, you can't do that shit on iOS. It just doesn't work. Like it's only the people who have Android who can hack the game and stuff like that. It's not possible on iOS. So I think that might have something to do with it, but I don't.
Right, because you're not data mining from iOS. You're data mining from APKs on Android and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
I totally agree there, and I think the beta will be good if they have enough people to give the feedback. That's all that matters.
Yes.
Like betas are 100% dependent on how many people they have in the beta, in my opinion, because it's always about how much total feedback you can get. And as long as it's quality feedback, like if there's a good forum to fill out or a solid communication stream, whether it's the Discord or whatever it might be, that's the most important part.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm optimistic about it, but I've been optimistic before, and
Right.
we've been, I mean, especially with the D-ranking system. I mean, that's been constantly still an issue that they've constantly stated that they're trying to fix. So I'm optimistic about it, but
management of it's going to be key. If it's managed properly and they have enough people on it, like having more people testing is a great thing in my opinion. So
yeah,
I agree with that. It's really just about how they pull it off. It doesn't necessarily, they could do it, they could have a good system, but they could still fuck it up.
Yeah.
All right, then the other fun question: what's your favorite pizza topping?
Oh shit. What's my favorite? I guess if I'm going first, I guess I'm top right corner, top left corner. So favorite pizza topping. Man, I like that sausage. You know me. Give me that sausage.
I gotta admit, my favorite pizza topping is just a straight up pepperoni with jalapenos, man. Delicious.
That's two. That's two.
Well, then it's the jalapenos, but it's got to be on a pepperoni pizza.
Individual topping, it's sausage for me as well.
Italian sausage or beef?
Italian sausage.
Italian sausage. The beef. I smell like beef. Abio, what about you?
Favorite pizza topping? Probably pepperoni. Nothing too exciting. Just solid pepperoni.
I am as far as like favorite type of pizza, I'm a big sucker for like Mexican taco like pizza. That shit's good.
I love Hawaiian pizza. That's one of my favorites. Even though a lot of people like pineapple on pizza. That's
you bastard.
And those people have a very uncultured palate.
When my parents bought pizza growing up, it was always meat lovers and Hawaiian. Those were the two flavors that were always purchased. So like defaultly, like I love meat lovers, but I had to like also grow to love Hawaiian, or else I'm out one style of pizza, or I can only get like one or two slices of meat lovers. So I had to like kind of groom myself towards it, and now I like it a lot. Like I'll oftentimes do pepperoni and pineapple together instead of Canadian bacon.
Ooh, that make good.
But
a little spice with the sweetness. It's good shit.
Right. Throw a little curveball around.
Hell yeah, man.
Keep the taste buds guessing. You don't
eat like a child and get chicken strips at a Mexican restaurant.
I know, right?
No. my go-to is Domino's with barbecue for the sauce and chicken breast with banana peppers.
There you go.
So,
on thin crust, because Domino's thin crust is delicious.
Yes, it is on the thin crust for that.
Delicious.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, now the last serious question. I'm not sure, they put in quotes team wars. I'm not sure if that means that that word has been thrown around before. But what do we think will it mirror
Drewzy,
Clash?
has that been thrown around before?
Will it mirror the 2v2 functions?
They talked about this how many months ago and asked for community feedback, and like since then we really haven't heard anything about it. So
yeah, on the forums it's still a sticky or a pin topic, like a team versus team mega thing.
I think right now, like they're just completely focused on the getting the PvP move server side, and so like I
I
think
hope so.
team battles and everything else like major like that, I think is taking a complete backseat
I
to
mean,
this. So I have really no
it's
idea
been
what to
data mined.
expect.
It's been data mined. They have all the achievements and stuff like that for the
Okay.
team wars.
Well, so what do you think it's gonna like?
I mean, if it's just put your event points together and whatever team has the most, like,
That'll be boring as shit.
But
It'll
then
be
you
top
can't-
heavy. It'll be top heavy probably.
yeah, but
with
you
the
also can't do something
professional
like
teams.
based on who's matching up against each other, because like I might never match up against a Dire Tide player or a Merc player. Like how would you dictate how that exactly works if it's like a legitimate like two teams versus each other kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a good
Plus, you got
question.
like all these
I feel like it'll
coalitions
legit be
now of
like a
different
Nambla Dire
groups. Like, how are you gonna know
or
like all the SP elites, all the different,
Right.
all the NAMBLA groups, all
And
the
then
SP
I don't-
coalitions?
Yeah.
all
I
that
don't
stuff.
think it would be good for the game because there's so many people. Like you said, there's people who have 5-6 teams that they jump around on, or that they spread out their people on, so that it's everyone finishes events.
They would all call all their players
Exactly.
back.
Every Nambla would be the top 50 Nambla players, and then our bottom team would never finish an event, and it would probably just disband eventually.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be very good for the game to even implement something like that.
I don't know that that's necessarily that. Like, I know as a co-leader in Namblos right now, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad idea. I would. This is just me personally, and not speaking for anyone on my team. That I would personally like to see teams being limited to like one. Where like Mercs has like fucking goddamn 30 teams.
They're a global
or-
coalition now.
Yeah, or
Isn't that what
or
GC means?
Like Nambla.
Gaming coalition, I think.
Nambla has 4 teams. And granted, like our one is like casual and stuff, but
Well, I don't know why they don't just
I
list
would like
200
to
people in a
see it.
team or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's, I don't know, it's hard because I don't want to single anybody out, members on my teams and stuff. But at the same time, like, I kind of like the idea of the top teams trying to like vie for the top players and stuff, and it's just it's more interesting in my opinion than having like looking at the ladder and looking at the entire board being filled with mercenaries.
Right.
Or like it was in season 1, like the entire like top 100 being like all just Nambla throughout the whole thing, or top, I should say, like top like 20, top 50, whatever.
Top 500.
You know,
We were everybody. No, I mean, yeah, it's
we
kind of
killed
a
it
toss.
season 1.
It's kind of a toss up, yeah, like between like wanting to have the teams that are like the most competitive versus also understanding that this is a this is a casual game. Like, as much as you want to say that like, oh, we should be an esport, no, this is a casual phone game that is there's a 4 hours on your PvP pack because you're meant to put your fucking phone down for 4 hours and come back later. You're not meant to play 14 hours a day.
What?
I mean, I think every mobile game strives just because they know how effective how an esports can benefit a game. I'm not saying it can benefit maybe this game to the same extent, but like every successful game that's lasted years and years has had some kind of esports following or some kind of build up towards that, and they've hinted at that they've tried to work towards that at some point. So is this the flirtation with that by doing a team versus team where you're going to have certain teams, like you say, recruit the top players that they can, and then they can then eventually work towards, I mean, it'll be multiple years away probably if it ever does happen. Like, it won't be immediate, like, the first of next year all of a sudden, South Park Furniture is going to have freaking an esports league and whatnot. Like, if there's ever an esports, I'll be a commentator. I sure as hell ain't playing in it because I'm not good enough. But if it's like, I part of me wants it to happen. I think it would be cool for the game, and then it would get more people involved in it, because I think a lot of people don't even know about some of these games until they reach an esports audience. Sometimes, not with all of them, but some of them need that kind of globalization to a grander scale to then people be like, man, maybe I should check this game out. I mean, I have a chance that I could win money if I'm good enough at it, that that I have more incentive now to learn to play this game because I could do all this stuff. And hopefully it maybe sometimes comes to that, For that's what I would hope for. But if so, it's going to be a long ways out. It's not going to be
Yeah,
next month or anything.
they need to achieve some sort of balance, and that's impossible right now. The leveling process. for
Right.
them to
Yeah,
do
because what
do
would
esport.
esports be right now? Just friendly fights? Fuck that. I wouldn't want to do
It would
that.
just be friendly
Yeah.
fights, and yeah, that
Nah, no way.
greatly limits the field of cards, anyways, to begin with. So
Right. And we all know that there's only really, if you want to win against the person who also wants to win, there's only one deck you could really
Yeah.
run in friendly fights. With a,
Yeah.
a couple cards or flex cards that you could switch, but
the thing is, yeah, even in friendly fights, the meta does it's so heavily favoring one specific deck. Like you could like back in the day, you could have like the perfect like Mystic Fantasy deck. I always joked about trying to find the perfect Mystic Fantasy like combination, and like I said, I thought I had found it at that point. And I think that for friendly fights, there is certainly a perfect deck which covers all bases and is
for sure, yeah.
is just the best that you can
Challenge mode is, and it that leaks over into challenge mode too, though.
Yes, yeah.
Like really badly.
Challenge mode at least has the little like variations that can throw the meta off.
Right.
But for friendlies, you're kind of locked into playing like Adventure Fantasy if you really want to be serious.
Adventure Fantasy, and I think it maybe Adventure Sci-Fi has like
Yep. Adventure Sci-Fi is the other one.
But yeah, and I mean, really, like they need to fix that by making, I think, some of the epics and legendaries a little bit more competitive at the lower levels, because right now some of them just really aren't there.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, because the friendly fight is just what decks have the best commons and rares,
Yep.
really.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Totally agree there. That's why I've never played a tournament. I don't really play friendly fights. I just don't really like it. I don't think it's a super good representation of the game that I play every day, you know. But I mean, I think I think they could, like you said, if like the level 2 epics, or are they level 2? Yeah. If the level 2 epics were a bit more on par with the level 4 commons, then for sure it'd be more fun and it'd be variable, because you could play more Mystic.
It is in ladder where the epics are outclassing the commons, but you do want it to where they are basically on par stat wise with the commons, so that you can basically use any card in the game, and it all comes down to your deck strategy and how well you execute it. It doesn't, like, the cards you play as far as the stats you're getting really aren't going to be that much different from deck to deck.
100%, absolutely there with you. It's that that's what I was saying about there not being like a balance that they could use for an esport. They would really legitimately need to work a lot of aspects of the game. They would have to do a full like change. It's so difficult, because of the way the leveling system side of friendlies and the way it works in friendlies, they would have to make some sort of change specifically for each thing. They'd have to change the game specifically for friendlies to accommodate an esport. It's just not a possibility.
Yeah, I honestly, whenever I heard people talking about it becoming an esport, I always just kind of laughed, because I was like, probably not, no way, why not? But it'd be cool. I'm not gonna lie, it'd be fucking lit. Because like, even if I wasn't part of it, and I never got to the point where I would do it or whatever, I would probably know the people in it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be really cool.
I would love it for them to really work with this beta function maybe, and set things up to be an esport. Because while it won't have like it obviously won't have like a League of Legends following and stuff, I still think it does have the viability to become somewhat of an esport. And but the problem is they need to get very, very serious about testing things and about setting things up that it actually creates a balanced play style where all themes and strategies are somewhat competitive. And there obviously will be a shifting meta and things like that, because things are going to counter things. But as it is right now in like friendlies, there isn't really a shift in meta there are certain cards that just shine so much that you need to play them. If you were in an esport, you would be seeing Blood Elf Bebe and Terrence and Phillip almost every single match because there is really no counterplay around aspect. Like you need those cards. They're just so good they're too good to pass up, and they do not have an efficient counter. So
yeah, Smoke. We'll talk about neutral spells next time because that we'll be able to talk about that for a long time, and we're already going on 3 hours.
It's what you're saying. It's that those are just such efficient cards, but also the best counter to those cards are those cards. So like that deck is its own best counter, and so you're running that deck, and the best deck to play against that deck is that deck. So
half the time it's just who can get their Belf stacked higher, who can get the last hits on their Belf, and then that's what wins the game.
I'm fine with some things being like considered or I shouldn't say considered overpowered. I'm fine with things being considered meta because metas change. People will go and shift. Like I was saying, Purify is being run in like the top 25 right now. That's because of a shifting meta. That's not how it works in friendly mode. So yeah.
I agree, man. It just wouldn't. But I mean, in any game, like you mentioned League of Legends, in any game there will always be champions or cards or whatever it might be that will be better, and maybe it's just simply because that person's easier to use. Maybe everything is completely balanced, but this thing is easier, so it will be used more often. And you see it in League where one person will get played 2% of games, and then the next patch they'll get played 98% of games or something. So there's always the balancing, there's always the switching, that'll always happen.
There's constant balance changes happening in that game. Also, there's hundreds of
hours of beta to go over to.
on top of that, there's hundreds of different champions that you can use. So
exactly.
Almost always an effective counter. Plus, you can see what the enemy team is going to be playing, and make your decisions based on a draw.
That's why I would love a draft mode. Would be really cool.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome to have a draft mode.
Or if you draft your opponent's deck for a challenge mode, that'd be really fun.
Dude, I don't think anyone's talked about this before, but I think that would be absolutely sick to be able to have a draft mode where.
We've kind of talked about it before. It would be a lot of fun, and like make it like you could make it to where it's multi-themed, and it's just you get 3 cards displayed for you, and you pick.
But then people would just be like, "Oh, he beat me only because he got to draft Belf and I didn't."
But I mean, you get bans. You get like 3 bans too.
That's true.
League does. Like,
you'd have to ban with the draft.
How good that would be. You would know what your opponent plays, so you would specifically ban out cards that they're really good with. Like that would be sick.
Like if you saw your opponent pick Unholy Combustion, you're not going to pick any target for Unholy Combustion.
Or would you set it up like Clash Royale does, where you pick half and they pick half of yours? So you know half of your cards, but they don't know half of your hand. So you would pick 6 for them, they would pick 6 for you. So then like you'd know half your deck and they wouldn't, and then you wouldn't know half your deck. So then
that's
you'd be surprised right off the bat to say, oh damn, they gave me, I got 2 tanks and a bunch
I already had 2
cards.
Tanks. Shit.
And it's like I gave them a bunch of assassin cards on accident, so now I have a potential to get wrecked on. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways. I think draft mode would be awesome. I completely agree. I think that would be a huge plus to the game. I mean,
it would add some I guess just a different kind of mindset. You're not
for sure
going into it knowing exactly what you're going to play, and you have to kind of build a strategy around what you end up getting.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that they could do with this game. I mean, it's like I said, it's South Park, man. So the IP is great. I just hope that they continue to work with it and continue to expand it and continue to try and rely less on the pay to win stuff. Like, don't content gate it all behind a paywall, Like, I understand you have to do it to some extent to fund the game and keep it going, but try and like make it as accessible as possible to as many people as possible.
Since the first time I played this game, like back when it first came out, like what, November 4th of last year. So we're almost at the 1 year point. But since
The
it came out, I've said that it's had a lot of promise. There's a lot of things they can do with it, a lot of things they can improve on, a lot of things they can do to make it more accessible to people. And I just really wish that they would make a concerted effort into going that route. I think this game could be huge. Honestly, I mean, I think it could be huge to the point that it is content gated behind being a South Park game, and people that maybe don't like South Park wouldn't play it. They could really, there's so much they could do with the game that it's almost disheartening sometimes to see the way the changes that they make to it.
Yeah.
And they've started trying to market it a little bit better because they've actually been showing it in episodes, like at the bottom of the screen, like talking about the game and whatnot. I mean, you have a huge.
Oh, have they? I haven't even noticed that. I'll have to go back.
I've seen it a couple of times, like at the how they have like the Twitter kind of banner that they have at the bottom sometimes, and then they'll like showcase little things, like they'll mention Phone Destroyer, like they don't like go into elaborate detail with it. But some of these mobile games that have made, and it's not like this game's not profited for Ubisoft and Red Links and whatnot, like to where they could market it better, to where there'd be more people would know about it. Whether they throw a commercial, whether they throw like the intro video in other games to like say, hey, try this one, you know, in a game structure that's a card-based structure, because there's plenty of card-based games out there now, to where you could throw it in a commercial for a content creator of another game to say, hey, come try this one's similar to this card game that you enjoy playing or watching. Try this one out too.
I know they are in some whatever systems that games use to, you know, like watch ads and then get, you know, premium currency. Some games have. I definitely have seen South Park in a few of those, so they are in a few of those systems, and that definitely helps. But I agree, like I've never seen it on YouTube or anything.
I wish they would enable content drops the way Eternal works. I think that would be amazing for content creators to, like, you could watch people playing the game and then you would get rewarded with in-game currency, or maybe you would get a card or
like a little free pack. They'd make a Twitch pack.
Yeah, like
that's less than a free pack, maybe more than a free pack.
For every like 15 minutes or whatever you spend watching somebody play the game, you get rewarded some amount of in-game currency. Or
yeah,
I agree. Sure. I think Abio's playing right now, aren't you?
I am.
All right, guys.
I gotta finish this event, dude.
Hell yeah, man. All right, guys. Amazing podcast, 3 hours strong. Fantastic.
Yes.
With a solid 20 to 30 viewers the entire time. Thanks everybody for stopping by. If you're watching it on YouTube, make sure you check the little circles that I'll pull up for everybody. But if you're not, Drewzy, plug your channel.
Okay. I'll plug my channel?
Yeah, plug your channel.
Do it, Drewzy.
Elevator speech, go.
Yeah, gaming with I used to stream on Twitch. I don't stream on Twitch anymore. Because I get a lot more viewership on YouTube, but youtube.com gaming with Drewzy is my channel, and I do a bunch of different content on there for South Park Phone Destroyer, some strategies, some gameplay, different things like that. I mean, I'm not the best player in the world, so I'm by no means like the best strategist of all time, but definitely try to talk about different things to try to help newer people and more experienced people try to focus on which cards maybe to work on and whatnot to. I've tried to update videos with when the meta has shifted, since the meta has now definitely shifted greatly since the epic legendary buffs, different things like that. But do a bunch of different content, usually about 4 to 5 videos a week. So check that out if you guys are interested.
Awesome. SDNW?
All right, so this is the moment y'all been waiting for, guys. I am going to be streaming after this. Get ready for it. Running the Green Dream top 25. So be sure to stay by and check me out, SDNW on Twitch. Also, I have been recently adding more YouTube videos and having a lot of fun making YouTube videos, so please check me out on YouTube at SDNW. So,
Abio?
Awesome.
You guys can always find me on Twitch, Abiogenesis Gaming. Usually I'm streaming Wednesday and Fridays now. I've been taking a little bit off on Mondays just because I've got a couple of big disc golf tournaments coming up, so I've been doing a little bit more practicing, getting ready for those. But yeah, I'm still streaming usually on Wednesday and Friday, doing the challenge mode on Wednesday and whatever the event is on Friday. So come hang out. It's always fun. We always have a good time. Listen to good music.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if you're here, clearly you know who I am. I stream Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Make sure this is gonna go up on YouTube if you're watching it on YouTube, and even if you watched it this whole time, we'd appreciate going to YouTube when I put it up tomorrow, sharing it around, liking it, commenting, whatever, adding more questions for the next one, whatever it might be. Let's try to get there to be as much people, if not more people here that are there on the dev streams, because it's ridiculous that there's not, guys. We're so much more entertaining than them.
For sure.
I know we can't give away.
Sure.
I know we can't give away shit. But I mean,
the shit they give away isn't even that good.
Yeah.
It's not that good. Plus, you have to sit there and listen to Buck and fucking Steve and Badger, and you will only get worse at the game watching those guys play.
They played all assassin deck in the
you'll
pig
get
ticket
bad.
challenge so much in this.
I just wish that those
was
streams were a bit
cringeworthy.
more informative and they were actually able to answer more questions. But like as it stands, I mean, those
I get
streams are
bad.
it's basically just marketing for the game. Like
Yeah.
it's just trying to all
Yeah.
they're hoping is for new people to see the stream and come watch it and be like, oh, cool, let's download this game. Like it's like there's so few bones given out to like the longtime players there because they just aren't either they're not able or they're not capable of answering a lot of the questions that,
Right.
that you want to know.
I get bad watching those streams.
All right, guys. Well, beautiful podcast. Had a lot of fun. We will definitely get you on again, Drewzy, Abio, SDNW. You know you're always fucking regulars. Everybody, thanks for hanging out in chat. I'm dropping hella buckets on y'all for dealing with the fact that none of the bucket games are on. And we will see you guys when this is up on YouTube. And then everybody head over to SDNW's channel to watch some mystic green dream happening.
Green dream, baby, green dream.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks everybody.
Big thanks to Drewzy for swinging by too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Mad love for facing the trolls and
Facing down the trolls.
Yep.
It's good to continue because I'm not going anywhere for a while.
Good.
Good to hear,
Good.
man.
That's what I
Good to
like to hear.
All right. Everyone have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your Saturday. SDNW, take over.
See ya.
Yep.